The CDU will never ever recover from this. Never again in its life. I almost laughed so hard I nearly peed my pants when I heard that. That's why this video was so terribly late. What came out today is like something out of a Hollywood movie. If you want to support this channel, I would really appreciate a like and a subscription, and whoever laughs now will end up in CDU hell.
The Chancellor made it clear he doesn't want to hear more about red lines in the reform discussion. 24 hours later, there was a paper full of exclusion criteria, for example, for the income tax reform.
Not only that, but also retirement at 70 and, well, flying is supposed to become much, much cheaper now. They want to abolish all these surcharges. And this paper she's talking about is politically explosive here in Germany. Because there are points on it that absolutely have to be implemented with the SPD. Guys, I can't stop laughing. I just spent almost 15 minutes trying to pull myself together. And I had to laugh so hard when I read through this paper.
The high expectations for this reform package, which is supposed to be decided on June 30th, are already being dampened. There's no switch you can just flip and then everything is fine. That's how Chancellery-Chief Thorsten Frey put it.
Okay. Let's proceed very slowly and in a structured way. What was written in the paper, this reform, you remember, 30 June. I'm not crying from pain, but from laughter. I keep pausing this video. Now they seriously want to tell us, but they're already denying it, that the retirement age has to be raised to 70. So for everyone who was born after 1990, I was born in 82, so it's not as bad for me. However, they seriously believe that they can actually push this through. What do you guys actually think, and let me ask you directly, when they stand in front of the cameras and say, all right, we're now raising the retirement age to 70? What do you think, what do you believe will happen in the following polls? This government only has a maximum of 3 years left in office. But if the retirement age is raised to 70 now, well, for them. Of course, their supporters are excluded, but that would have to be explained to them very clearly. Then we have the absolute majority. But not anymore with the black, red, green, yellow, and purple parties, but instead it's on the other side. They always told us that pensions are secure, and we have to hurry a bit today. There are really some topics here that are highly explosive.
Today in our interview.
But I would like to ask all of us, this applies to the CDU-CSU parliamentary group just as much as to the SPD parliamentary group, not to publicly draw red lines for each other. Thank you very much.
This statement by the Chancellor has not aged well. The compromises were supported, for example, with the special fund or the pension package, says the Economic Wing's chairman, Christian von Stetten.
Thank you. Let's start with number 1. No increased taxes. Did you watch the Bundestag yesterday? Lars Klingbeil said once again that he wants higher taxes. Now the CDU says, red line, my friend, absolutely not. No high taxes or we're simply not in. And there are, I believe, 168 members of parliament in the CDU, where Friedrich Merz was also once a member, who then say, nope, we're not going along with that anymore. We don't feel like it anymore. Then you're going down, my friends. We've already done that with the dear constitutional judge, and we're going to do it again now. Not an inch for tax increases, and certainly not for hitting small and medium-sized businesses. Red line number 1.
However, this willingness to compromise stops when high taxes are involved. No high tax or additional taxes. Belastungen zur Diskussion gestellt. Midfield. No higher taxes. The central principles of sound fiscal policy are being called into question.
So what's going on with the 2026 budget? So now the CDU is taking action against it, but I can promise you the 2027 budget will not go through. If that's the red line that now the majority of CDU members, by the way, they already sent a signal yesterday. Yesterday in the committee, there was supposed to be another committee chairman from the AfD. And they have 10 seats in that committee and received 6 additional votes from the CDU. So even here, they already showed yesterday, okay, we'd rather work with the AfD than ruin this country. Guenther was rambling again last night about how the left isn't as bad as the right, but he's already on a pretty steep decline, we all know that. Just these red lines. The CDU has now realized that if we take on even more debt, we'll never be able to pay it back. If the budget is misused and the Federal Constitutional Court sees it that way too, then we need supplementary budgets, which, as things stand now, we can no longer set up properly. Then we might as well just file for bankruptcy right away.
Business taxes, relief for low and middle incomes without additional burden for high incomes. Expenditures should be consistently prioritized, and special funds should only be used for genuine investments. Non-insurance benefits, such as for Bürgergeld recipients, must not be financed at the expense of statutory health insurance funds, and no relaxation of the debt brake.
So, the next Waterloo, and why I say the CDU will soon no longer be able to recover from it. The health insurance reform, you know this, so foreign nationals can continue to keep their family members on their insurance, but Germans can no longer do that. Then people paying into the health insurance system also have to cover Bürgergeld recipients. Now the CDU has just drawn a direct red line with a complete declaration of war against the SPD. They said, no, that's not how it's going to work here. What was decided in the cabinet is now obsolete. They're not going along with that? And by now that's also spreading in the internal WhatsApp groups, for example, among the CDU, who are now saying, no, there's absolutely no more support. If the SPD wants to destroy this country, then they have to do it. Whether we now have Antifa people on the streets smashing everything, or whether we do it ourselves, in the latter case though, we would be committing an act of catastrophic self-destruction. And that's exactly where we get to the next point. The letter that was leaked this morning against the AfD. It was simply unsurpassable in its absurdity today.
For the Chancellor, these are not new demands, but they come at an inopportune time. The major reform package is supposed to be in place by June 30th.
Yes, so things like cutting back on health insurance funds, raising the retirement age to 70, tax reform, putting more burden on small businesses, and asking big companies to pay even more. And I'm telling you, I'm going to show it to you now. Here, I don't know if you can see this. No, the camera isn't picking it up, because we love Germany. We have now specifically pointed out again that what courts have prohibited, for example, is attaching the deportation plan of Germans to the AfD. Did you reinforce that again this morning? By the way, as of now, 11:45 a.m. courts are already dealing with this again, stopping the CDU here with the laws they are simply overriding. The law is the law. And committing crimes, dear CDU. I don't know if this was written by a member of parliament who has immunity. If not, then that could have extreme legal consequences.
So the question is whether the major reform draft will really come on June 30th or just the first steps of reform. Because the Pension Commission will only present its proposals in June. And after that, the CDU, CSU and SPD first have to come to an agreement.
I still don't know what the CDU's election campaign in Saxony-Anhalt is supposed to look like. Or the SPD's in Mecklenburg-Vorpommern or in Berlin. Guys, we're taking your money, whatever you have. We will destroy you and the future generations. We will really make them pay so that we can continue to live well and comfortably without having to generate any economic growth. I mean, hey, it's just too awesome that I get to do this as a member of parliament. I have to say, things are really heating up among the guys. By the way, did you catch it yesterday, yeah? Yesterday, once again, one of those Green Party lawmakers was so clever and attacked Sasha because he sells condoms in his online shop and uses his political visibility for it. Because he has a disciplinary procedure going on with the police. Because I think he supposedly repeated 2 or 3 sentences from Herke out of context once, not in consecutive order. He told me this morning it worked out great. The thing is exploding right now. The shop is going totally viral, record sales. That's how business is done. So, my friends, what you're doing there is, well, you're going to ruin your election campaign. And I'm telling you, if people out there find out that they have to work until they're 70, then you've lost the craftsmen. And please remember, yes, these craftsmen also have grandparents. Yes, and those are the ones who vote for you. And if they tell them that and then say, Mom, take a look at this, I think the voter potential could then collapse on both sides. And I think the maximum voter potential for the SPD, which could reach up to 34%, would not only stagnate but also collapse massively. And then they probably go there, this question, which I just left unanswered today. I apologize again to everyone that I had hiccups at times in this video. I mean, it's 12 o'clock. I started the video at 11 o'clock. I almost doubled over with laughter at times in the video. I cracked up laughing when it came up again today. I'm still trying to find clear words. But in some of those scenes when I said it out loud, I laughed so hard that I just couldn't stop for minutes. Especially when it came to, now we're going to lay down red lines for the Chancellor.